Okay. All right, everybody. Hello and welcome to A Model in a Movie. What
Yeah,
episode?
man.
Are we doing these as episodes? I don't remember. What
Yes.
episode? What number is this? How many times have we done it?
4. This is number 4.
This is 4. Okay. 4. And it
4.
is All Quiet on the Western Front is the movie
Yep.
we will be speaking about today. Yeah.
Choice.
It was a good choice, I think. Anyway, how are you, Brian Clark? My co-host, Jason Walker. You good?
Yeah, man. Spring break. Can't go wrong with spring break,
Dude, so we're two teachers on spring break, and this is how we're spending it.
Yeah, hey, I got a daughter in college. I don't go anywhere.
Yeah, I just need the time. I need to just decompress and not do anything. So it's going to be a good week. We're recording on Monday, so we're not at work.
And I actually had an extra day last Friday because we had some sort of weird gas leak thing on Thursday in the building.
That's not good.
It shut us all down, and it was really difficult waking up at 9 o'clock on Friday instead of 5:30. I had a hard time with that.
Oh, you lucky bastard. Could have blown up, but hey.
Hey,
What you got? What you got new? Oh, wait, I was going to ask spring break. Or were you a big spring breaker? Like, did you travel? Like, when you were in college, did you ever do the spring break journey anywhere?
I had no money.
Yeah, I didn't go anywhere.
I was straight broke. Nothing.
And none of it looks appealing to me. Like, I don't want to go sit on a beach with those people.
I really like beaches now, to be honest. I don't like sand. I'm like Anakin Skywalker. It's everywhere. It drives me nuts.
I'm not a big beach person either. Never have been.
I
just don't like taking my shirt off, which is part of the problem. So I never do that.
It's weird because you had it off for me earlier.
I know. Everyone missed the show.
Yeah, it was impressive. It's incredible how black your shirt is and how white your chest is. It
is a good contrast. It looks good. It's like when I take this off, it's like looking at the sun. People just go blind.
But no, I would go to Hilton Head with my my in-laws and the family. Everyone would go down to the beach, and I would sit by the pool. I don't.
Although when I was in Florida, I didn't mind it as much this past time when I was at the beach. I just don't like the sun. Like if I could go out late evening, I'm good. All right, what do you got? Let's do some Workbench stuff. We'll do me first because I'm very, very low on stuff to talk about.
Awesome.
I did and I'm going to talk more about this on the regular show, but I did Adepticon last weekend and entered a contest. Got smoked, like I thought would happen.
Sorry.
It is all for me. It was just about getting that entry form and saying I did it.
The Golden Demon ticket, right?
The Golden Demon Awards. And that's a weird contest. I don't know how it works really in terms of judging. Whereas Wonderfest, having been a judge, I know how it works. Like I know like certain judges get tables. There's not nearly as many entries as like a Wonderfest contest. And it's all miniatures. And for that specific, the cool thing about Adepticon is the Golden Demon Awards are specific to Games Workshop stuff. But there was a couple other companies doing their own model painting contests there. So there was Creature Caster and Bestiarium, who Creature Caster is like they do resin models and they do some My Mini Factory stuff now too. And they partnered with Bestiarium this year, which is a Patreon I follow. And it was great meeting those guys. I'll throw a picture up here. I got one. And they were like, so their specific things, they had a contest for their models. And then there was Mass Atomic Games is the company that puts out, I do have something I could show. Mass Atomic Games is the company that does the Marvel Crisis Protocol game that's huge right now. Like it took up half of Adepticon, like of the main room. And it's just a mini game, but using all Marvel figures. So you assemble your own little team of guys and go fight other superheroes. And people are huge. Like, so there was a contest just for those. I'll throw a couple pictures here too. But I'm gonna be making a big montage video of everything. But there was work in that contest was amazing. There was work in the Creature Caster contest was great. But then with the Golden Demon one, it's just for stuff that's for Games Workshop. And so the categories were like single miniature 40K, single miniature fantasy, and then I think one of the coolest categories in that contest is called duels, where it's just two miniatures and they're fighting, like doing something. Okay. And that always, I think, ends up like there's great stories that are told in those dioramas. And then there's one category that's like an open category where you can kind of put 3D printed stuff and some other things, but it's not like Wonderfest where you're judged on your own, you're judged against everyone else. So there's cuts that they make going up, and I didn't even make it past the first cut. But what happened to me going in, my troll is standing on 1 foot. And the way this kit is made, there's one little point that holds up all the weight. And no matter what plastic cement I have, that foot keeps breaking all the time. And so I'm nervous as hell. I open that box up and it's wobbling. And I'm like, no. So I had to clip it. I had to clip it onto my base, and I walk over to the lady still shaking, like, okay, this is wobbling. Don't drop it. I turn around, clunk, it's fallen over. And I was like, crap. And so I've broke my own contest rule. It's been so long since I've really entered a contest. I didn't bring any glue, and I didn't bring any kicker, and I didn't bring. I'm like, oh, this will be fine. Like in my brain, I'm like, I'll be fine. Nothing's gonna break. Yeah. And so then I panic. I'm like, oh my god, what do I do? So I turn around and there's a guy just happens to be gluing. So I'm like, hey, dude, can I borrow your super glue? Go to put she was trying to glue it with the plastic cement, but since there had already been super glue, the plastic cement's not going to go through it.
Right.
And so I grabbed this dude's glue, squeezed some on there, and I'm like, I think it's good. So I turn around to hand him the glue, and the guy taps me and goes, hey man, yours just fell on the floor. And I went, no. So this thing had fallen off the foot, hit the table, bounced onto the floor in front of all the judges. And I'm saying like, fuck, what do I do? I'm like, oh, Michigan Toy Soldier is directly beneath. Their booth is directly beneath. You get on these escalators and they're right there. I'm like, kicker and glue, ran down there, bottle glue, bottle kicker, fixed it and sent it in there. And I'm lucky because the way the foot is, there's like a collar around his ankle with spikes. So you can kind of hide the seam. So you really can't tell that it was broken. So now I'm like, whew. But then there's a yellow dot on my card the entire time that I think signifies that it's fragile or was broken. That's what I can, and I'll get more into that. So in each case, there's shelves. There's like 4 shelves for your category. And if you're in the first cut, you get moved up a shelf. If you're cut, you move down a shelf. Mine started on the bottom shelf, like down there. I'm like, that's weird. But anyway, so I think what they do, and this is what I think it is, there's, I think, 4 judges, and they all have a sticker. And they, like, one guy's green, one guy's blue, one guy's pink or red. I can't remember what it is. And I think they walk around in each category and stick a sticker on your tag. And the ones with the most stickers get moved up. And that's how they do the first cut. And then they do a second cut and a third cut. And then it comes down into each category. There's a first, second, and third. And then there's a placing. Like if you make it into, they think that first cut, you get a placement card or pin. And then you get a pin, and then there's like a card. Like if you made it into the final choices. And then then first, second, and third is a trophy. And then there's the overall where you get the Slayer sword. You get a giant real sword and a chain link glove, like to hold it. And so that's, I think, judged out of all of them, out of the best, to say, hey, this is our winner for the whole show. So
I like the one that won.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the one that won the Slayer sword?
I did. I'll throw a picture up here of it.
Please do. And was it something where you were like, holy God, that's so much better than everything else? Or was it like, why?
No. And that's my point. Like, that's kind of where I'm going. I think it's so subjective in that contest, down to, I think it's painted flawlessly. Like, it's perfect. And I think that's kind of what they look for, is perfection. They're looking at individual brush strokes. They're looking at like every tiny little thing on there. And what won, and again, I'll show you later if you want to see it. You could, or when we watch, it was a Dark Angels guy, and it's a Space Marine, and the highlights, everything's perfect on it, but it's not the style I like. So, and I think a lot of it comes down to style choices. There's stuff in that contest that I thought was way better, like way better, and it didn't even get anything. And there's like stuff in my category I thought was fantastic, and it didn't make the first cut like I did. And I'm not me. I didn't deserve to make the first cut at all. So I'm not even saying that. But there's stuff I thought should have made like that first cut. So I don't know it's kind of a weird, and I think it's based on who the judges are every time. And that's kind of like the contest at Wonderfest too, is it's not one, it's changed a little bit since then, but it wasn't one judge judging the entire category at Wonderfest. It was two judges judging two tables of a category, and then two judges judging another table. And that works when you're judging on an individual basis.
Right.
But if you were trying to do you have to judge the whole thing as one people. But it was great to just kind of learn and get that like.
Do you have your miniature nearby that
it's upstairs? I'll take a picture and put it here. I have one.
Yeah, do that, because I would like to see what you consider terrible, because I have a feeling it's not as bad as you. I mean,
I think that's what kind of made me feel better, is looking at it in the case next to some of the other stuff next to me. It didn't look like, look at that guy's stuff. Like, it wasn't like, oh, that's terrible. It was okay. It was, I mean, it fit in with some of the other ones. And again, it's not, it's not sour grapes at all. Like, I truly think people that won should have won. And it was cool to kind of figure out how they do it and see how they do it. I think the last time I entered a contest was Adepticon did the Crystal Brush Awards. And I entered like a monster demon guy from Pegaso, and it's painted to look realistic, like a real monster. And like, that's not one of the things these guys are into. It's more stylized kind of things. So, and again, that comes down to style. But the cool thing about Adepticon,
I was gonna say, don't you think that's true of any contest though? I mean, I've gone through Wonderfest and I've looked at things and been like, dude, there's no way that's not going to win something. And it gets nothing. And other things I look at and go, why did that get something? And it's like a gold.
And with Wonderfest coming up, I think this is a good, like, I don't get it sometimes. Cause even when Terry picks the AFM award, the way he kind of does it is he'll kind of ask the writers like, hey, what do you think's good? To kind of put the decision is Dave and Terry, like always. Right. But he kind of says, he asks the writers like, hey, what did you see in the contest that looks cool? And he'll take that and go, oh, okay, I'll go see this. Like, so he sees things. So then him and Terry go and figure out, or David and Terry go and figure out what's going to win the AFM amazing figure. Right. And I know almost every time when I pick something, no one else picks it, because I'm looking at different things than I think some people are sometimes. And I think the stuff I pick is great. Like, and I think the stuff other people picks is great. But a lot of times I look for things that are small because they get overlooked, as opposed to the giant, like, there's this giant thing. And I don't know. It comes down to it again. It's subjective sometimes.
Last year was that DeLorean diorama, right? Wasn't that the one that won the best? Yeah, that's huge. That was huge.
Yeah,
I mean, it was really big. I don't even know if I have, even in my basement with all my comic books and all my other garbage down here, if I'd have anywhere to even put that. But I see what you're saying. Like, the bigger stuff tends to draw the attention
when and that's part, like, he had sound with it. He had all the music playing, and that's to grab your attention and be like, oh, that's really cool. And some of the littler things I think get overlooked all the time. I think one of my favorite things, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, was there was what's the name of the kit? It's not Starship Troopers, but it's a space trooper guy. It's a really old model, and it's just something trooper, I think. It's just a sci-fi guy with a gun, like with one foot on a rock. Like, and it was painted beautifully, but it's only, so people, it kind of gets overlooked, I think, sometimes. And I think it's unfortunate. And I'm glad to see they added a miniature category at Wonderfest, but then what goes in the miniature category? What scale, where should be where, and what should be what. So,
like, last year when I was first time put stuff in, I have those Freddie Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees busts from Blackheart.
Yeah.
And that's what I put in and I was just going to put them in with the monsters, regular other side. And the lady who was taking me to put stuff, she goes, oh, you don't want to put it here. You want to put it in the miniatures. That's where it goes. And I was like, well, I think she's like, no, I'm telling you, it goes over here. This and it. I don't even think anybody even looked at them over
No, yeah. See, I
there.
would have said the opposite. I would like those
Yeah, that's
sci-fi
what.
horror busts all the time. And people, this will help people too. Determining your category when you're entering a contest like that is important because then you get certain judges. Like for the at Wonderfest, the mini category is going to have mini guys looking at it. You're going to have more of the garage kit guys looking at the other stuff. So I would say if it is a horror bust, if it's 1/8 scale and up, or even like 1/10, like if it's a horror bust, put it in the sci-fi horror category. Don't go like minis should be minis. All like, and that's like what should happen.
So let me ask you a question about this because it is the first time I had done it, and I'm still feeling my way. I'm not again. I'm not. I know I'm going to put stuff in this year, but this could be it. I said that last year too, but is it wrong to then take the stuff I had in the minis last year and put it in the monsters and see if it?
I probably wouldn't, just because
it's already been there and all.
It's already been there, yeah. And that like if you're doing something for yourself, like if the contest is like I want to see what I've done, like instead of to prove a point. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
it's just all right. Fine, I made them. Bring something new, and that's
right.
Because you never know. You might end up getting a judge that's the same guy somehow, and be like, "Oh, this was here last year. What's this guy trying to do?" Which that's the thing that came up before too. Is like when there used to be many model shows, the same guy taking the same kit to every contest to win.
Well, I'm saying like because after you gave me those hints about like the Nuln Oil and Earthshade, I changed them. I've updated them and fixed them a little bit. So that's the other thing.
You know what? Maybe bring one and stick it in there and just see what
happens.
Yeah. No one's going to say anything. Even if
they
watch this show, who cares? They won't say anything.
Yeah, I might have enough to bring anyhow.
We're probably talking way too much about this, but I think it's a good conversation. The other thing about contest is it's been a long time since I had the contest nerves. Like, and I don't like what it does to me. Like, like
competitive.
Yeah. I don't know if I like that part of it. And then I start getting like, well, maybe I could win something. Maybe then I'm like, well, why didn't I win something? When my initial goal was, I don't care. And it's hard to keep that I don't care back there sometimes. And I don't like being nervous about it. Like all day, like, okay, am I going to do good? How am I going to pick this up? What am I going to do? How am I going to do this? I got to show up here. And I don't know. It's been I kind of want to enter Wonderfest now and just see.
And like me, I have that competitive outlet with basketball and other things. So it really is for me because I really just build it for me. Yeah. And I just, maybe someone will like it, and maybe someone won't. And so I don't care.
And that's mine too, because I really thought my idea was funny, like what it was. And I didn't have anyone say, or I haven't seen someone post a picture of it and be like, hey, that's pretty funny. That's all I wanted. Because what it is, it's a troll, like in Blood Bowl, which you get to do, like it's, I've talked about this a million times. It's American football, but like, it's a funny take on it. It's like tongue in cheek. People get murdered on the field. Like bad stuff happens. So it's a troll. And the guy, like in Blood Bowl, if your guy's a big enough guy, he can pick up little guys that have the ball and throw that guy, and then they can run for a touchdown, like in the game. So the model has a goblin in his hand with the football, and he's like this, like gonna throw it. And so I carved the goblin out and just put a lump of shit in his hand. Like it's just
you talked about
right. So I'm like, all I want someone to go is, hey, that's pretty funny what they did with it. And I didn't even get that. So
they probably thought it was just mud or dirt or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's how do you convey shit versus mud?
It looks like a lump of poop. It does. It looks. There's no knowing. It looks like poop. So,
that's funny.
So that was my Adepticon. I think everyone, if you're in this area, it's a great show for getting supplies. Like Monument Hobbies is there, AK International is there. Like all the big paint guys are there. Tools galore, paintbrushes. and all that sort of thing. So I wanted to kind of go through some of the things I got, which were just little things. And I just got done with an email with somebody who I met, and I had just watched a video on this stuff the day before going there. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if someone will be there that has this, and I'll pick it up. And I found the guy, the American distributor, and we're gonna have him on the show. It's Goblin's Hut is the name of the local distributor, because I think it comes from Europe, but it's a paint brand called Dirty Down, and he was a fantastic salesman. He sold me all I was gonna go was for the rust, but then he sold me on the rest. So the first thing I want to talk about is this aging spray. And the way he was explaining it, I think it's most of this stuff is used in Hollywood when I was talking to him. And that's why I can't wait to have him on there. And this is meant to age clothing really quickly. And he said you can use it in models if you can use it, spray it, and then wipe it off, and it goes in the cracks and gets in there pretty gross. And then you seal it and it's fine. And this comes in different tones. There's like a mid brown, so I just kind of went with this mid one to give it a test. But again, we're going to have him on the show to talk about it. But the really cool thing that I wanted from him, and the video I watched, is this. It's called the Rust.
Okay.
And it looks like it gives you the effect of the what's it called? The stuff I've been using forever that actually has metal flakes in the paint that you have to put the patina solution on to create your verdigris.
It's vinegar activated too, right?
Yeah, the stuff with because I was using vinegar after that. So, but this stuff is just water based, and it's just, and watching some videos, and there's a moss that makes it look like moss is growing, and there's a verdigris that makes it look like ancient, like the metal, like copper and gold and stuff. So, but if anyone goes, just check out Dirty Down on YouTube or check out Goblin's Hut. We're gonna have these people on. This stuff, I think, for weathering is some of the best looking stuff I've seen in a very long time, and I'm really excited to get to try some of that. And have those guys on, because I think there's, again, the miniature guys have no idea that the Garage Kit side is even there. And I think even 3D print guys are going to get into some of it. I did pick up from a company called Huge Miniatures some new texturing paste that makes dirt and mud, and some flowers from those guys. And I picked up some brushes that I'm kind of mad that I picked up, because now that I go back, they're really expensive, and they're like a travel, like they clip out, and then you put these in. But I think after talking on our last episode to Joe Hudson, and he's recommended those Zem brushes, I'm gonna go and pick up some of those and see, because they're pretty cheap sables. I'm gonna give those a review. So
yeah, I haven't watched all that yet. I'm only on the news and reviews. I'm watching chunks. So,
and then my other big thing at Adepticon is I took a painting class, and I was trying to show you when I sent pictures. And it was from 8:30 in the morning until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And all I got done was this tiny, come on, focus.
Yeah.
Tiny part of the gauntlet. And it's meant to look like it was a non-metallic metal class. And I'll put a screenshot up of the PDF that was provided. And I don't think I was successful in the fact that it kind of let me flip my brain in how to use blue and black and white to paint silver to make it look like there's reflections. So he was talking about your main highlight. And this is something I never even thought, like, if you're painting highlights, and if you're going to look, my light, most of the light is hitting right here, but even in shadow, light hits the ground and bounces up and hits under here too. So he was kind of explaining, you'll still have to have like almost like a highlight underneath that I didn't even think about. And then when you're actually painting the horizon line on each one of these pieces, and towards the horizon line, you want to put a highlight. And I didn't know it. Like, this is stuff I wouldn't even thought of. So it was it was with Ben Comets, and I want to say he was a great teacher. And there's where my nerves kick in too. Cause like you're painting this tiny little thing, and he's coming around, like looking at your stuff to like give you critiques. And I'm like, bam. And I just make one and I'm like, oh. And so everyone was using wet palettes, and it was so dry in the hotel. The wet palettes were drying like instantly. Everyone's paint's drying faster than it should have. So on top of like other people, the guy that he came next to me, and I like, he was a great guy, but he had brought his own table, like hobby light with him, like a battery operated one. So then I got light coming this way. There's different, like, you're not in your own painting studio, but I think now that I have like the idea, I could sit here and try and do it on my own and be a little more successul. So
Yeah,
that
when you
was
sent it to me, the first pick, because I asked how it went,
mhm,
was it 2 weeks ago, I think?
last weekend or
Last
two
week. And
weekends ago. 2 weekends ago.
I said,
Or no,
how
last
did it go?
weekend.
You sent me that picture of that. And I was like, well, I couldn't really tell. And then you sent me another picture. And I could tell the size of how small it was. And I was like, 4 hours of, and honestly, I would, I get that I would never do that. I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. No, I'm pissed off just thinking about it. Dude, you'd never finish a kit. You'll never
Well,
finish a
no,
kit.
that's where and that's what it is. These guys spend months on one thing, on one kit. And and that's like the Golden Demon guys, what you got to do to win. And you're right. Like trying to paint game pieces or painting the snake, it's like you'll never get anything done. You'll never get through your collection. You'll paint one thing a year, if that.
I mean, I guess if you're doing something for a competition, then
Yeah.
I mean, you know what you're getting into, but
And a lot
like
of these guys, like they're painting the box art for somebody, like for
okay,
a company. And so then, yeah,
that's different too, I guess if
yeah.
it's your job. But I just, man, when you said that, I was like,
You just
and
you just hit the nail on the head. If it's your job, like if
yeah,
this was your job and you didn't have to like go to work,
yeah, right. That's fine. But I mean, to do it for
yeah,
fun, that doesn't look like fun to me. That looks like a nightmare.
it was very nerve wracking. And I did take another painting class too that was more about special effects, and I really liked the way this guy from Games Workshop taught us how to make rust without using like fancy paint. There was like a technical paint called typhus corrosion, which is kind of like it has like sand in the paint, like mixed in.
Oh,
And you kind of dab it on. And when that dries, you take this really bright orange called Fire Slayer orange, I think. Yep. Like a really bright orange and kind of dry brush it over it. And it makes a really good rust. And I'm going to do some of these demo things here coming up, and I keep talking about it, but things get in the way. But that's it. That's kind of what I've been working on. I've been printing my life off for Mark Worthling, trying to get this Wink stuff done. I'm on to the last piece, the big hand. So the first batch of fairies that I sent him, my system didn't work and every single one of them broke. I think 2 survived. So now I had to reprint 40 fairies. They're all coming. People who are getting the small kit, the fairies are a bonus. We've talked like you're gonna have to glue those wings. It's just unprintable, but you'll get parts that you could glue on your own. We're trying to figure out cup systems to ship stuff. It's a nightmare, but I'm loving doing it because I'm learning a lot. So how about, one last thing. I'm going to be having these at Wonderfest to give away, and I'll probably throw them in packages. They're brush rests that I printed, like so they don't roll away on your desk. Just simple little brush rests. And they're cool.
That's cool.
It's a cheap, easy little print, and I liked it. So,
that's
all right, what you got, man? Hit me with what you got.
Dude. All right. Well, first of all, my local hobby shop is going out of business.
Oh, I hate to hear that.
Ben Franklin, Five and Dime. Well, it's not going out of business. He's retiring.
Okay.
He's 78 years old, and
Is it an official Ben Franklin like that used
Five
to
and
be
Dime.
everywhere? Okay.
Yeah, Ben Franklin, Five and Dime, and so he's doing 20% off of all his model kits.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I was like, screw it. I'm gonna go in and anything I've had my eye on or whatever.
Yeah.
Even things I've already had. So I came away just a few.
Oh wow.
So I've got let's see, we got a Apache helicopter here. It's small. This, did you ever, you're a little younger than me, but do you remember the Navarones when we were kids, the little army men Navarone?
Yeah.
It was like a mountain with
Yeah.
So one of my favorite things was the half track for the Navarone, and it was just the all gray plastic. I think that's what I'm gonna do with this, is make it painted up to look like the little toys. Just to have
that'd be fun.
Yeah. And even I think it might even come with the men. I don't know. I don't know if it does or not. Oh yeah. 5 guys too. So I may just do it all in just like gloss gray. Everything. Just
That's a good idea.
Like it would when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And then I got this guy, everyone's seen him.
Oh wait, no, wait. What is that? I haven't seen that. What is that?
Oh, you haven't?
No.
That's the Atlantis Flash Gordon.
Oh wow. No, I've.
Really?
Is there a
He's been
back
out.
to that, or is it just?
Yeah, that's
That's
it.
cool. I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, it comes with a little Martian guy too. Let's see what else. Corsair. I love Corsairs. When I was a
Oh, wait,
kid,
wait. Center them more a little bit to the side.
my
Yeah,
fault.
there we go. Cool.
So yeah, and then even though I have three of them already, gotta get. I
You
love
have three.
Michael Myers. I have three already.
Three of that kit or three Michael Myers?
Three of this kit.
What are you,
So now I
Johansson?
have four.
You're
I have
totally Johansson. I have one of those.
Well, with this, okay. So here's my deal. This one I'm just gonna do up and put in my classroom because I don't have one in my classroom. One is for my daughter, and what she wants me to do is half it. So one it looks like he did in '78, and one like he looked in 2018. So it's kind of dirtied up and
Yeah.
scratched up. And so then for me here, I want 178 and 118. So that's my goal there. So
I got it to give away to a friend, and I still need to work on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then 007.
Cool.
I love that stuff. And then of course the Fly, you know the Fly. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone. And actually, he special ordered this one for me, and he gave me the 20% off, even though he ordered it.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it's cool.
Hey, bring
Now
that back in the center so people can see the box art, just in case.
Yeah,
That's why people see it.
It's. I've seen some buildups of it already. Some people have been putting like real hair and stuff like that.
Yeah. Did you? There's huge controversy with that kit, which I'm just finding out. So they made a there's a Facebook group dedicated to just that problem. So when you open it, check yours. There's divots in the eyes that aren't supposed to be there. Like there's like a divot into the eye, and then someone was talking about how the body scale is differently between the top and the bottom, which doesn't bother me that much because it's supposed to be like an Aurora. Like there should be a little bit of jank to it, but
yeah. Just like
but I guess there was a molding problem with the eyes, and there's like a divot instead of being smooth.
Okay, but
just double check it. It's something that Putty could fix instantly, and people are like,
okay. Now the other thing is, I showed it on, and I still haven't opened it. I don't know if I want to open it. I showed it on Discord that one night. My tank,
dude, that's a big tank.
Ridiculous. Andy's Hobby headquarters. He went into business with, I don't know who made it, Tacom maybe. Yeah. And honestly, it was only $125 or something like that. 130.
So do you have an idea of how big it is going to be when it's built?
It's 1/16. So I'm pulling. Let me see if I can find the. Okay. I'm just gonna move out now.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That's big. That's big. So
just put it on the kitchen table. She won't mind at all.
I
put flowers on it. Make it a centerpiece.
Yeah, just leave the tank top open and. So that was, spending a little time. And then in the garage kit, my Jean St. Jean stuff came.
Oh, cool.
And let me tell you, dude, this stuff is nice. Seriously. I don't think it's 3D printed. It might be. I can't tell. If it is, he cleans it up nicely. But here's the Mothman.
Oh, that is nice.
But it feels plasticky, like. Oh, they go down. Hold on. So it'll be kind of like that.
I like that size too. Yeah. Not too big.
No. And he's got a little, like, you know the story of the Mothman?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, he showed up on a bridge before it fell. And that's, you got to
got bridge parts. Oh, that's a nice base.
So I gotta figure that out. But anyhow, yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and I got one for myself and one for my daughter because we actually went to Point Pleasant a few years ago, and
I think we talked. Is it worth going to be like? I went
you
to
have
Point Pleasant.
okay. So, oh, dude, this is gonna make you even happier. I just noticed this because I know how you
Has
are.
it got a dink? Nice.
Look at that.
Mothman balls.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we know it's a man.
Yeah. So here's the thing. My daughter and I drove down. Went to the Mothman Museum. The guy at the Mothman Museum, I was like, hey, we were wondering if we could go out where the, whatever is. And he's like, yeah. And he'll just write the directions down for you. And because, you've already gone through the museum and all that. We went out there, we drove around a little bit. We weren't getting out of the car because it was end of June, sweaty, hot day and whatever. We just kind of drove around to get a feel for it, in the back area. And we came back and took pictures by the big statue, the chrome steel statue and all that. And then we looked around and there was absolutely nothing else to do in that town. So we were going to spend the night. There's a haunted hotel. We were staying in that haunted hotel. The air conditioning was window air conditioning, which is fine, but it was still hot. And they were like, you can't do any ghost hunting from like midnight to 6. You got to be I was like, you know what? Let's just go home. She's like, yeah. So there is a place down the street that makes a Mothman pizza. So we got a Mothman pizza. I'll send you. I gotta find the picture. I think it's in my Amazon pictures.
All right.
And it's just a pizza and them using like pepperonis and stuff to make a Mothman on it. It's pretty funny. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a thing to do as you're going somewhere else, if that makes sense. If you just going for
like
that,
stopping on your way. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, there wasn't much. So, but then the other thing I got from him, this will make Paul Gill happy. Bigfoot. Now I don't know why Bigfoot has boobs.
Because that Bigfoot does.
Does it?
Yep. So the
original, the video,
the Patterson film. If you look at it, the Bigfoot has boobs.
Okay.
It looks like a female Bigfoot.
Okay, never looked.
So that's close. What that's supposed to be.
Yeah. I mean, look at that. Look at that likeness. It is really good.
That's a face a mother could love.
Only a mother, yeah. And it comes with some trees and whatever. And let's see. These are 3D printed, dude.
Are they?
That's 3D printed, right?
I think so. Yeah. Looks, well, I don't know. Is it hollow?
I can't tell. He isn't.
Ask him. Yeah, we still want to get him on too. Maybe we'll have him come on this show. Talk about.
Because he's willing. I talked to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything goes together. Look at that. No seam, basically.
Oh, that is beautiful.
So it's really cool. Good stuff.
Gene St. Jean. We'll put up a link for sure.
And he's got 6 more. Different.
He has a lot of stuff on there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And very happy with that. And my daughter's happy. I bought 2, like I said, 2 Mothmen, one for her, one for me. I'll get to those some point. But
been painting anything?
Yeah. Oh, hey, here you go. Look. Got it done.
Did you paint anything on that?
Yeah.
Okay, what did you walk us through that? I want to, yeah.
So it's spray plastic. So it's all painted. I got steel. I've got silver spray paint and Tamiya paint here.
Did you smoke the lens or no?
I did, using clear red.
Okay.
But the light itself is red too, as you can see.
Okay.
So you don't have to, but what I did was I painted the inside silver, and then there's 2 lenses. There's a smaller circle and then a bigger one, and I made both of them red, and I thought it would make it look a little more.
Yeah, because it look right now. Wait, is it turned on right now?
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. Yeah, even with it turned off, it almost looks like it's on like that.
Yeah.
So that's I love it.
I know. So I got that done, and I'm really happy with that. And then my daughter's friend this is going to be a long episode for us, isn't it?
That's okay.
My daughter's friend at college went to England and brought her a gnome back. I keep calling it a troll. Oops. And her roommate accidentally knocked it off her desk. They were cleaning or something and accidentally bumped it. So she collected the parts. She's like, Dad, do you think you? I was like, I'll do my best. So I did what I could.
That's the life of a modeler. Anytime someone breaks something, hey, can you fix this?
But I couldn't quite get it right. So what I did was I puttied it, and then I did that Japanese gold stuff.
Uh-huh.
See, have you ever seen that where they do that?
Mm-hmm.
Like with plates and stuff, and just kind of gave it like character or whatever.
Yeah, I forget the name of that. Where it gives it care instead of throwing it away, they repair it. Yeah.
They repair it, and I know they use gold foil.
They use gold, yeah.
I used Tamiya paint, but
it's Japanese.
Yeah. So I thought it was kind of cool. She liked the idea, and it came out okay.
I like it. Someone was calling me a gnome the other day. I was like, get out of here.
You're a wizard. We all know that.
Yeah.
And one other I just finished this morning, and this I hesitate to show because I might want to take it to. Well, no, it doesn't matter. People will know it's mine then at Wonderfest.
They know which one to knock over and flick.
Yeah. I'm super happy with this, dude. I
Okay.
used your techniques with the shaders or whatever those things are. I don't know the names of them. And I used Anya's techniques. And this might be the best thing I've ever done. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. You ready for this?
Yes. Yeah. Wolf Cop.
How good is that, dude?
I love it.
I'm like, and it's, I turn off the lights here. You can't.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. It's a fun model, too, and such a fun movie.
It is.
Well done, sir.
I'm really happy with this. Is it that came out really? So, oh, we'll see.
Yeah.
And then I started one more because it's spring break.
Yeah, I need to pick.
You know.
Where'd you get that? What is that? Toxic Avenger, right?
No.
No? Wait, what is it? Oh, Chud. It's a Chud. I didn't see the ears. There you go. Where's that from? Uh-oh.
Turn it on the back. Todd Carlin.
Okay.
And I've got a couple things from him, and they're all really cool.
Chud. Oh, Chud.
Such a
movie with so much potential.
Yeah. But I think I'm done with the skin there. I'm happy with the way it came out.
Yeah, I think it looks good.
It's be really wet. It's got about 4 different layers. So yeah.
The Chuds.
Chuds, man. Blood the Chud. That's all I got. That's all I have going on.
That's a lot going on.
I know.
That is a lot. All right, let's get into some movie talk then.
Yeah.
Before we get into our main one, I do want to recommend a movie. And since it's on Shudder, it's a Shudder exclusive, and you're not on Shudder. I might be a while before you see that, so I don't even want it. If you ever watch it, we'll talk about it and come back to it. But Paul Gill recommended it to me, and it's called Deadstream. Everybody, if you have Shudder, please watch this movie. If you don't have Shudder, watch it. Get the 10-day free, whatever it is, and watch this movie. It is one of, I've watched it 3 times already since the first time, just to show it. I'm like, Jamie, you got to watch this movie. And I showed my friend yesterday. I'm like, got to watch this. The whole premise of the movie is it's a live stream, and it's a YouTuber kind of guy, and he goes into a haunted house. And it's one of the funniest horror comedies I've seen in a very long time. And it's very subtle, some of the things, because there's live chat throughout the movie on the screen. So sometimes you have to you're watching what's going on, but you need to also read the little comments that are coming up. So you'll miss stuff. Every time I've watched it so far, I've picked up new things that are but it is very Evil Dead-ish. So if you like Evil Dead, it fits right in with that. And to the point of you're like, oh yeah, that's Evil Dead. But it's really well done. It's really funny. And I'm really happy Paul recommended it because it is one of my favorite movies now. Because it really it's very satirical on what we're doing right now, and on ghost hunting. And it fits into my world perfectly. And it's please watch it. Deadstream is great. Everybody check it out. And then
my fear is, if I get that 10-day free or 7-day free, and then something cool comes out later, which there always will be.
Yeah.
I won't be able to watch that, so
Yeah. It's I would say it is worth the money I pay. I think it's $10 a month. And I probably watch that more than I watch Netflix or Amazon or anything else. There's a lot of stuff, especially just for Joe Bob Briggs when they do the last drive-in
yeah.
live and stuff, which is coming out soon. The new episodes start in April, so uh, recommend Shutter. I really do. It's worth I think every penny. And then I watched Knock at the Cabin 2 nights ago. It was okay. I would,
That's all
yeah.
I'm with.
Yeah. How was that?
Yeah.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
It's thumbs up, but it's
Okay.
just inhuman. One guy. It's a video game.
Yeah.
And actually they've just there's a really freaking cool. They always up that bar.
Yeah.
There's a really cool scene where he's in a place fighting bad guys, but instead of doing the typical over the shoulder or side, they do above. So it's like a video game. You just see him going through the house and through the rooms with different, and it's really, really cool,
Like a
dude.
third person isometric action game. That'd be
Yeah, yeah,
kind of like
it is.
Diablo. But
Yeah,
oh, that's cool.
it
I've
was
only
real.
seen the first one. I do need to finish watching the rest, and because that does look interesting.
Yeah, it's
Um,
it's good. It's honestly, I think out of the ones I've seen, I don't. Three is the weakest of the four so far.
okay.
So
Well, from completely inaccurate violence,
yeah,
All Quiet on the Western Front is our movie this episode, to completely realistic human violence. Brian read the book while we were this month to kind of compare for us because I don't read rarely. Do you want to start there? Compare it
what
to the book for me. Give me a big, because I have never read the book. I don't know. So for those of you watching, All Quiet on the Western Front's on Netflix, and Netflix exclusive. It's based on the book, a remake of a remake of a remake. I think it's been done 3 times now as a movie, or 2.
yeah.
And the book was banned by Nazi Germany in the 20s and 30s. You know why? Like watching this. So hit me with what's the difference between the book. Let's just go there. We're going again. We go full spoilers here. So if you don't want to be spoiled, go back and watch it and then come back and start over here again. So
Spoilers on a book that was written in 1928. So
but spoilers for the movie.
well,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
really, really they really kept it pretty close.
Okay.
There's a few things that they changed, like they combined some characters just because of time and things like that. Like the one buddy who lost his leg, who tried to kill himself with a fork. That's a different character that they just run into in the hospital. It's not
Okay.
that guy at all. There's a really cool scene that I wish they would have filmed where they were walking through like a graveyard and they start getting bombed and all the dead bodies and everything are flying up and the caskets are flying and all this stuff. That I mean, when I was reading that, I was like, this would have been freaking awesome.
Why?
Yeah.
I wonder if it was.
I don't know.
Okay, all right, keep going because it's going to fit into what I'm going to say later, probably. But.
The first like 3 or 4 chapters are just on their training, and they kind of didn't even show that.
Yeah,
much
they barely. Yeah, it was very okay.
To a point where there's a character who's the trainer. It's kind of like the Arlie Ermy guy in a way, from Full Metal Jacket, where he's
Gunnery
abusive.
Sergeant Hartman.
Yes, sir. This is your rifle and this is your gun. And then he ends up coming to the front though, and they're all just like, you don't know what you're talking about, you're a punk, and he's trying to like intimidate them all, and they've been fighting for like 2-3 years at this point. They're just like, go after yourself, get lost, you don't know what you're doing. And when bombings come, he goes running and hiding and stuff, and so it's that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There's two chapters that basically deal with PTSD, which I was really surprised about.
Okay.
Considering it's 100 and or not quite.
It's about 100 years ago, like
where he goes and his mom and dad and everyone are, everyone's happy to see him or whatever, and he just kind of holes up in his bedroom and curls up in a ball, and he goes to see his friend's mom who got killed. It would be the first
Well,
character in the
then that's
movie.
my question. So who's writing the book? Like, who's the book about?
Paul.
Is it
Paul.
Paul? Okay.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, and it's the whole PTSD thing was really for 100 years ago for them to him beyond that. Obviously, it's something that is ongoing. You know what I mean? It's the one thing about war movies. I think when we were kids, especially, they glamorized it. You know, it was like
Well, because war movies are a propaganda tool.
yeah,
Like
that's
they
true.
always have been. Like
Yeah,
especially at that time.
yeah, but I would argue that this is not.
Oh no, that's yes.
Yeah, that's,
There's been a flip recently. I think Platoon might have been one of those flips, where it's
I would
more like movies that show how shitty war is, as opposed to like the movies that came out during World War II and right after, like
Don Wayne.
yeah, like that kind of stuff. You know,
Oh
that's
yeah,
what I'm talking about.
Bill.
Where those are your propaganda, like
We're gonna get
whereas
on the beach of Normandy and we're gonna kick them Nazis. Huh? But the buddy getting killed by the child, that that's not in it. And the way he dies, spoiler, the way Paul dies is completely different. Basically, in the movie, we obviously he gets stabbed,
yeah,
okay, in a worthless battle. But in the book, he's the last one left. All of his friends are gone; they're dead. He's the only one surviving, and it's kind of like a nice day, and he's just kind of standing by a tree and like, man, he's just tired. He's over it. He's had enough, and hoping that the war is going to end. And then you turn the page, and it's his obituary. He died on this day. Just got shot in the head.
huh?
So it's kind of like he's ready
So like,
to.
was it based like so? The book was about him or him writing the book? Like, you know what I mean?
The only thing that's third person is that last part. It's him the entire time until the very end.
Okay,
The last chapter is a paragraph or so.
okay,
I mean, it's that.
okay.
So yeah,
So let's get
but
into the movie.
yep.
Sometimes I don't know how trying to make this sound right. I like horrible movies. In not that they're bad movies. Movies that are horrible, that are hopeless, depressing, sad, awful, pull no punches movies.
Mhm.
And that's what this movie is.
Yeah.
To me. Like it fit the kind of like movies that are just like this is life. This is how it is. There's no like just I don't think at one point they're like, no, we can't do that because it's offensive or too gruesome or like it's happening now. Maybe the coffin bombing scene, like I think would fit in perfectly. Like, and the thing about it though is in its horror and in its awfulness, it's beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen in terms of cinematography and the way it's filmed. And it bugs me that it won an Academy Award for Best Foreign Film when it should just be like Best Film because it's so.
Was it
To me, I
was
loved
it
it.
was it up for best film overall too?
No, I don't think so. I think it was just up for Best Foreign Film. Whereas I get they have to make that distinction, and that's what it won. It won Best Foreign Film, and it's one of the best movies I've seen in a very long time. And I think and we'll get into some of the details of like, but when you think of like your war movies, I mean, it's there like it made Saving Private Ryan at times feel happy. Like it wasn't. There's parts of Saving Private Ryan that are like cheesy to me still, that still feel like kind of Hollywoody in a way. And there was none of that. It was just like, this is how it is. War is random. War is horrible. It's unpredictable. You don't know, and it's pointless at some point. And it showed that it conveyed that so well with what it did that I think one of the reasons I liked it a lot is I think and I will never get political on this show. But I think we're kind of sleepwalking into some of the same traps that happened then, right now, in real life now in the year 2023 that were made exactly 100 years ago. Some of the same mistakes that happened then are happening now. And I think if you don't walk away from this movie and be like, man, war sucks, and sometimes it's necessary, but sometimes it bogs down into pointless just garbage, and it's ruining people forever, even the survivors. Like it's not an easy movie to watch, and it shouldn't be. Like, this is not what it shouldn't be an easy movie to. You should walk away being like, man, that sucked. But I don't know. Your initial thoughts?
I agree with you completely on the beauty of the movie. Like the visuals of it are unbelievable. Like it sucks you in. I was watching it on my big screen upstairs, and you feel like you're in the trench. You feel like,
Yeah.
And I was like, and it's funny. It's a dumb thought, whatever, but I'm sitting there going, freaking hell, these guys were wet all the time. That would suck so bad. All the mud and the dirt, it just
trench
always,
foot. I mean, there's you always heard about it in school, but you think about it, you're like, whatever. And then when you think about it, like being wet all the time, like just how terrible that must have been.
Yeah.
And the beauty of, like you were just saying, but the background I chose for today's episode is like the opening shot of the movie, where it starts with just all these bodies, and then it slowly goes, the way the camera just swoops in to what's happening. I don't know, continue.
That's old school Hollywood right there. That's like Alfred Hitchcock type stuff. He was always big on the coming from far away and bringing it in close and all that. Did you watch the making of documentary they have on it?
Not yet. Also? No, I was gonna watch it after this
because number one, like it's such an earnest film. Like, to see the people having fun in a way doing it it throws you off. Like, you're like, wait a minute, I just want. And then they're like smiling and joking and talking about, that kind of stuff, because they are acting, But just go from that. And I watched it immediately after I finished the film to watch that. It was jarring a little bit, but it was interesting. The Paul guy, I thought he was fantastic.
So it tells the story of basically the stories about Paul and Kat, right? That's kind of how I came away in their relationship, and they meet on the front lines of World War One. And Paul comes up out of training, and he's there like, it's gonna be a great time, we're gonna kill us some French people. And quickly, like, there's this, did you watch Chernobyl?
No.
The HBO series? Okay. So it has that same kind of impending dread throughout the entire thing that Chernobyl has, that you're like, man, these guys it's not going to go well, because it starts off not going well for somebody, and he gets like, just it follows that the soldier's uniform of the guy that died, and then it's the sewing machine of fixing that uniform, and then giving that dead guy's uniform to a new guy that's going to run out and do the same thing, and it comes full circle in the end too with that uniform, and it's
and again, that's not in the book either.
Okay.
So that was different. The idea, the movie added the whole negotiation, the working for the peace
the armistice side.
That wasn't part of the book either. Characters would talk about it. They were hoping for it, whatever, but they didn't.
Okay.
It wasn't like, at 12 o'clock at this day, it's done, and then they rush off to fight one more time. So it was different in that regard, but I honestly think this movie really caught the book better than a lot of adaptations do. It was really the things that they left outside of like the graveyard scene, which really for me was just because it was cool.
But think of, like, now knowing that and how beautiful the movie is, how great that could have looked. Like, that's, I wonder if they did film it and then just for time or something.
I don't know, because it's a long movie. It's
like almost 2 hours. Like, it was right at the 2 hour mark, I think. Go back and look.
I want to say it was like 158 or 50.
It was right there.
So it's a good long movie, but
saying that though, there's no point where it felt like dragging or sometimes,
No,
when there's a 2-hour movie, you're like, okay, let's get on with it. Like I was enthralled the whole time.
yeah, it flew by. It was
Yeah.
it was, and again, you can't go. You can reiterate constantly the horrors of war and all that, like they have, but um, I agree with you about it. Does kind of make the Saving Private Ryan at time feel Hollywoody
Yeah.
because there's just and up until this point, I would have said that's the definitive war movie. I
Yeah.
think this might be it.
I think it is. I really do. I can't, I even get goosebumps like thinking about it a little bit. Like 1917 is fantastic too.
Yeah.
And that's more of a, how do you compare the two? I think that's a tiny little story and doesn't
Yeah.
really deal with the grander scheme. It's the same thing of war's terrible,
Yeah.
and it's the way they shot that movie is fantastic. And I love 1917. I think if you watch both of these movies, you got your two best war movies, like, and Saving Private Ryan. You throw those three, and we'll talk about something towards the end too but with this, they captured details that I think some of the other movies never capture. And it was the part, the battle in the middle where they had to run and then fell back, is when they start running into that machine gun fire and the sun is kind of hitting the clouds and there's smoke from the machine guns and then it's red. And you're like, what is, like, that's red mist. That's blood in the air. And it's like, I've heard people talk about, because I'll watch stuff online, like people coming back from Iraq or coming back, is that well, you could taste the iron in the air from the amount of blood that was in the air. And no war movie has ever shown that. Like when you're being cut down, like just there's blood. There's so much blood animatized, like floating around in the air that it's all over you. And then when someone gets like just the gruesome horror, like getting hit with an artillery shell, there's so much of this, like that guy's gone, like gone. And I think you hit on an important point too, the PTSD side of it, where when in that first artillery barrage where they're in the bunker, and my guy just starts banging his head on the, yeah, you can't, like the people that can't take it and can't handle it, and how it changes you like instantly. And these guys, just man, I can't recommend it enough. There's so many, like there's the shot where the flamethrowers, right? Like when you're like, oh, flamethrower, that's awful. And it's the overhead shot of the Germans retreating and the guy in the French with the flamethrowers just kind of like smoking off in the background and doing like, man, it is so beautiful in its horror that I can't, you have to see it. Like people have to witness. It's hard to explain. It made tanks scary. like there's it reminded me, and I don't, maybe it reminded me of Lord of the Rings in one spot where, and you probably didn't even watch this. So people who watch this, so it's the Battle of Pelennor Fields. And when the Mumakil show up, the big elephants, and there's this shot of like the elephants just marching towards Minas Tirith. And you're like, oh crap. How are we going to beat those things? And the shot kind of mirrored this when the tanks show up and they're just these big scary monsters that are just coming slowly towards them. And everyone freaks out. Like, what do we do? And it's just, the
scene where the tank comes into the trench and falls down and just squishes the one guy. That was
a picture right there. That's one of the pictures I grabbed.
That was pretty was a gruesome scene. And here's the thing, like I think that with a lot of the movies that you and I watch, and probably the people that do our model kits, Chud, Freddy Krueger, Michael, all that stuff. We know it's, they break a bone, it's a piece of plastic or whatever, it sticks through, and I'm sure it is. But when it's done in a realistic manner like this, it gives you the heebie-jeebies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know.
Flamethrower scene when he lights his friend up, when his friend gets burned to death.
Yeah.
It reminded me, and I'm probably one of the few people that watched it, but there was an ISIS video where there was a pilot from Jordan that was burned to death.
Wow. And
they threw him in a cage and had the cage filled with gasoline and then just lit the dude on fire. And it's I'll never ever forget that video. Like it's one of the worst things I've ever seen. and they captured that, I think, a little bit in the movie, like close, because you couldn't do it the whole way of what happens. But just even just getting shot in this movie, it's, you know, Hollywood. Oh, I'm shot, my shoulder. I can. No, it's so quick and random. Like just in the beginning, like people just dying left and right from just bullets that you don't even know where they're coming from, and that's war. Like it's just awful. And to know that people fight those wars and come back, you know, not the same person, and they shouldn't. And that cannot be. I think it was funny. It was right after this I watched a documentary. It was a short documentary on, I think it was on YouTube, of a company of soldiers that went to Iraq in 2003, and it was them now and then, like talking about themselves, and just you could tell, like it I don't know, it's something everyone should see. I think the story side of it, the story in general, the story takes place at the front lines between France and Germany. And it says at the end, like all these millions, like thousands and thousands of people died over like 400 feet of land, basically, of going back and forth. And that's the movie. You just kind of see these guys go back and forth, capturing nothing. And Kat and Paul, it's basically the story of Kat and Paul, but Paul's friends. And I think one of the things that also hit home for me is Paul looked like my friend Paul from high school, like to a T. And it was just like, man, he looks like Paul. His name is Paul. But
and that guy's a stage actor. He's never been in a movie, but that's one of the things that I find in the documentary. A lot of these guys were stage actors. They're not movie actors. So it added another level to it, I think, that maybe Hollywoody actors wouldn't bring necessarily, you know?
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think Kat, the guy at Kat that played Kat, reminded me a lot of Bronson guy. What's Mad
Charles
Max? Mad
Oh,
Max.
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. He reminded me a little bit of Tom Hardy in that just the way he could work his face and say things with his face without saying anything. And there's so many quiet, poignant parts. Like when you find out that Kat can't read and he has to read this letter to him. Paul's reading the letter to him while they're both taking a shit about his dead kid. And you're just like, man, it's just like there's nothing.
And seriously, that's all in this, dude. That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
Like the only other thing I can think off the top of my head that wasn't in it, there's a scene where they go and find like they're at a river area. On the other side of the river is like a no-go zone or whatever, and there's girls over there. And at night they sneak over there and have sex or whatever, and they come back. That's the only other.
I kind of was the part where the one friend went off with the girls in the book.
Kind
got
of
her underwear.
It's something's referenced somehow.
So
like
that maybe they conflated those
like
two things.
They
maybe
kinda,
they did that.
But it wasn't like what it was in the movie. In the movie where they're just like plowing a field, and he's like, "All right, bye guys, I'm gonna go live with them now." Yeah, it wasn't that. There was some other things with it, but honestly, I read this book in ninth grade, so that would have been 35 years ago. Because I graduated in 1990, so 86, 87. So
wait, what year did you graduate?
1990.
Okay.
So I would have been 1986 when I read it, and I didn't remember it. I mean, I know I read it. I remembered the last scene he died, but that's all I remembered. And as I'm reading this, I'm telling my wife, I'm like, this book is like, honestly, at 14, 15, like this has become one of my favorite books. Reading it at 15, seriously, it's worth reading. And it's not difficult. Even
what was
you
it like? We'll sidetrack for a minute since you're an English teacher. When you were growing up, when you had to read books. Remember when kids had to read books in school? Like, what was your favorite book like that you like school made you read?
That's a good question. I really don't know. I can't.
I got two that I really like. I had one English teacher in high school that had us read some book, and I don't know, like maybe, I don't know. I liked the books. Like some of them he picked were, like I read Catcher in the Rye with him, didn't like it. I was like, whatever. Like it didn't, either. Like none of that. Like, but The Jungle was one of them by Upton Sinclair. and it was about the muckrakers in Chicago and about getting the unions going because of
Mhm.
the meat packing plants and how they were having kids following the hot dogs, and
Yeah.
love that book. And then uh, Lord of the Flies. Those two were my like. I love those two books like
Great.
growing up. But
You know, it's funny you say the jungle because my brother doesn't read either. He's 2 years younger than me, so he's your
he's
age
my
actually.
okay.
And he loves the jungle. That's the one book he probably would have said too. I think that's the only book he finished in high school, to be
It's
honest with
one
you.
of yeah. I think it's one of the three that I might have.
Honestly, I can't remember. Like the books that I read in college are resonate more, and I
Okay.
think it's because I was more mature. Because I didn't go into teaching right away. I was a business and human resources manager for 5-6 years, and went back to school to be a teacher and all that.
Okay.
So, like Catch 22, which is
Yeah. No.
a war. It's a World War II war book, but it's a comedy, and it's kind of mashy in a way.
Okay.
Uh, the main character is Yossarian. They call him Yo-Yo, and he's a bombardier, and he is terrified. And it's real smart ass. I'll tell you what, you need to read it, and I'm going to bring you a copy. I'm going to
Okay.
bring you a copy at Wonderfest because um, it's really not. It's not an easy read by any means, but it's really good and funny. I laugh out loud when I read it.
Okay. I'll give
Um,
it a shot.
real sarcastic character. Like there's save the bombardier. Well, I'm the bombardier. Well, save the bombardier. Like he's like, well, I'm the bombardier. So that kind of stuff. And but there's all yeah. And the other one is Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison.
Yeah.
In that one, I know, there's people, oh, it's African American writer, but the main character in that book has no name. He's invisible to society because he's black. But I think that because he has no name and we all at sometimes feel marginalized in life, no matter what. And of course we got two middle-aged white guys talking about this right
Oh
now,
yeah.
but
No. Well, hey.
um,
No.
I think that no matter what, we all feel marginalized. We don't fit in. There's something, and
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what the book is. We go to school to get more intelligent, and that doesn't work out, or to get a job, and that doesn't. He goes and gets a job, and that doesn't work out, and so you can see the development of what we're supposed to be in American society, and what happens when nothing works.
Right.
What do you and I think at times, I mean, you and I, we complain to each other about our jobs. We know, even though I like my job, I'm sure you do too. It's
Mostly.
still at times, you want to grab the where is it, my monument hobby thing and be like, you know what? I just,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so, I mean, it's,
Especially the week before spring break. It's always a good time.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. Those are the two books I think that, and I've probably read Invisible Man 25, 30
Okay.
times.
That what you're reminding me. I had to read Native Son about Bigger Thomas, and I really like that as well. Like, um, man, books.
Yeah.
Back to the movie though.
Yeah, yeah. The
I
thing we're here for.
yeah, I think we always sidetrack on this show.
I
Always.
know.
Uh, I I don't know what to say other than everyone I think should see this. Like
Yeah.
it, there's not much to ruin. Like it's
It's
a
a
war
war
movie.
book.
People die. Main character
Yeah.
dies.
Everybody dies.
And I think the way he dies. I have a question though, and I didn't quite understand the end, and I'm wondering if maybe you caught it. What? So the kid that he kind of saved that ended up dying for saving that kid, the new soldier. When he
Okay.
jumped down into the trench, there was a kid that he was saving from getting shot.
Right.
And so when that kid is tasked with going to get the dog tags, he takes the underwear. I think it's an underwear, ties around his neck or the shawl, whatever that is. But he
Yeah.
doesn't take Paul's dog tag.
I don't know. That's not in the book.
And I was wondering
and honest,
why, or if it was just an oversight, or if there's something I missed.
I don't know.
Okay, that's
It's weird.
It
Yeah.
was just like, why didn't he
I
take
think it
his
was
dog
more
tag?
because didn't Paul because and that is in the book too. You saved, you brought him back and whatever. That's Cat. You wasted your time and whatever.
Yeah.
That's Cat in the book. And that's in the movie too, right? but it's not.
I'm talking about the very end
Oh
when
yeah,
Paul's dead and
that's
Paul is
not.
sitting there and there's a kid walking around and
Yeah, that's not.
he takes the underwear, ties around his neck or whatever it is.
It's a
But
scarf.
he was supposed to be getting the dog tags off all the dead Germans, and he didn't take Paul's, and I don't know why, but
I think it was probably an oversight. I don't think
yeah,
there was a
that's what I'm.
there. But it wasn't that weird though. Like the giant, like they broke them off. It was like
Yeah, it was kind of cool to see how their dog tags worked and the
yeah,
Germans in the
yeah.
19 teens. It looked like a CD, and they would crack half of it off.
And just what a gruesome freaking job,
Yeah,
dude.
yep.
At the end of okay, you just fought with your friends. Half your friends are dead. Now go around and break this off their dead bodies so we can send it home and mark everybody dead. What the?
And then we're gonna put you in a mass grave in the same coffin with a bunch of lye on top of you, and that's it. See you.
Right. Yeah. Thanks,
Man. All Quiet on the Western Front, damn good movie.
Yes.
You're
great.
I like my grade is an A+. That's where I'm at.
I agree. I do.
Two A pluses.
Yeah, and that it's. I don't think you can. I'm sure there's someone out there. Oh, this is but I
inaccurate. There wasn't. This didn't happen, or this wasn't. You have your rivet counters. I'm sure that'll be like this is inaccurate. But as far as the point that it was trying to get across,
fantastic.
Right there. Yeah. Like I can't recommend it more. And and again, it's different. Like we'll give A pluses to movies like this, and Willy's Wonderland's going to get those kind of grades too, because they're both good movies, and we just like good movies. And this, like, it hurt at times to watch, but I think it's something that everyone should kind of see and experience. And I had it in Atmos sound, so it sounded amazing, and I had it on my big screen TV as well. And it's so beautiful at times. Just those shots of like some of the scenery and some of the landscape is just gorgeous.
And that's what's crazy, I think. And I'm sure that's part of the plan there is the beauty mixed in with the horror.
Yeah.
And when you combine those two things, yeah, it messes with you because your brain has to process it somehow. And how do you process what's going on with what's around you? Like, you know what I mean? Like you look up, there's a beautiful sunset, and then right there is 15 people with
their arms going.
Yeah. So I don't know. It just, yeah, it's it sticks with you. It sticks with you.
The question we always ask though, too, is it kit worthy? Yeah. These kits have been done a million times. Like there's so many things in there that, like, if you're a military modeler, you should be watching this for reference, just for weathering, like looking at how mud works. Like that's one of the cool things about it in terms, like, not war is not cool, but how dirty everyone was, and how wet everything is, and how materials look when they're dirty, and how, like, if you're interested in like weathering, I think this is a great thing to watch, to look at, because you see how mud dries on someone's face as opposed to like after it's been there for 2 hours, what it looks like, as opposed to right away. What a the stabbing. So when he's in the crater, in the artillery crater, and he's fighting with that soldier hand to hand, it harkened back, like we had talked about it before, about Saving Private Ryan and the stabbing in the stairwell and how horrible it was. This was that times a million. How would you, like, the way he reacts to watching a guy die that he just killed but isn't dying right away, and like doesn't want to hear this guy's cries, and he's stuffs mud in his mouth, like how awful.
Then he realizes,
then he tries to save him, and it's like, but anyway, but I think it's a great thing to watch for weathering. And
I agree. And honestly, I think that's his humanity coming back. It's like, I had to do this to survive, and oh shit, what did I just do? It's like, it's
and there's a lot of, you can tell, even though they're evil Germans, like we've been told for years and years and years, they're these boys that are, stuck in something they didn't understand, and they're being used to do something they didn't want to do, and the French are doing the same. Like, I think that's the best part of it, is there were no Americans in it at all, and it was a story about other people and not us So it kind of kept that bias out a little bit. And I question, did you watch it in German with subtitles or did you watch
No,
it dubbed?
I watched it dubbed
Okay.
because
I watched it in German and subtitled.
it makes a
Oh,
difference.
yeah. Just
And the only reason why is because I wanted to watch it. You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah.
And I have no problem with watching movies that are
Yeah.
subtitled. Oh, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this
I
one.
was afraid it would lose some of the feeling because that's like when dub, you kind of lose some of that. But I think that is probably the better way to watch it. But again, I get what you're saying. It's hard because I know I miss things reading.
Yeah.
But
But
if I could just learn German overnight.
yeah, no, you're 40. You got nothing else to do.
Scheiße! I know that.
You can't even remember to make the report cards. If you want to talk about
For every episode. Oh man, but so that's All Quiet on the Western Front. A+ from both of us. What's our next movie, sir?
I think we're gonna go with man. I've got it narrowed down. I talked to you, about a couple movies. I do this every time. What I do is I go through Hulu and Netflix and I take screenshots of movies that are out. I want to watch this one. Watch it. Well, here, let me ask you: do we want to go? We want to lighten it up a little bit.
I think we need a palate cleanser. I think we
Yeah.
do.
So okay,
it's been some pretty serious.
Yeah.
Like this one, and then let's go for something that's not as
something that's a little fun. I'm scrolling through my pictures right now to see.
I don't care. Whatever. Like I said, I like horrible, depressing things. So.
I know, but the past two, especially the ones you pick, my God, Crimes of the Future made me depressed, and it just made me depressed. It wasn't because it was good.
I didn't know it was going to be that bad. I didn't know.
Like I said, even that freaking that I get that magazine. How about this? It's on Netflix, and it's only an hour and 17 minutes, so we might be able to get this done quickly. Girls with Balls. It's on Netflix.
Okay. Done. Girls with Balls will be the next movie.
And I guarantee you, this is going to be one that's going to be. I'm not promising it's good.
I don't know anything about this. I've never even heard this ever.
Cleansing the palate, baby. Cleansing the palate.
All right, cleansing the palate. Well, thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure. This was fun, sort of. Like I said, everyone needs. It's A+. Great movie. Check it out. Couldn't recommend it more.
I agree.
See you, man.
Later, bud.